Would you say more is on the line Sunday for Deshaun Watson or Dak Prescott?
Are we seriously asking the question of who's under more pressure and has more on the line? A Browns quarterback or a or a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys? It is Dak Prescott. Period. Deshaun Watson's already been paid. And I know you guys are going to hit me with the, well, he's already been paid and he's got to prove that. That man is a stranger. That's like asking Tom Hanks' girlfriend on Castaway, do we know if he's still going to be good? I don't know. That man's a stranger to me. He played 16 games in 2020. He's played 12 games since. I don't think that there is any pressure on Deshaun Watson because there's no pressure on Cleveland to be any good. They went to the postseason with Joe Flacco last year. Dak Prescott's trying to get paid. And on top of that, every single time he does not perform or underperforms, the question goes right back to, should you get paid? Contract negotiations. If he wants to shut and quiet all that up, right out of the gate, they've got to win this game.
Elle, Duncan, you are wrong. Okay. Of course. You are wrong. Let me tell you why you're wrong.
Okay.
No matter what Dak Prescott does, he's going to get paid. That's number one. Number two, he has all the leverage in the world. Can't franchise tag him. No trade clause, okay? And Jerry, obviously, is trying to negotiate with him to get something done. It's number two, because we know that if he were to depart from the Dallas Cowboys, there'll be a boatload of teams looking to grab him as their starting quarterback. But here's why I really say that you're wrong. Just because we've ignored it doesn't mean, guys, that Deshaun Watson's career is not on the line. It is. He has not looked good. And Ryan, you and I were on TV last year talking about it. He has not looked good. Never mind the fact that he is in the AFC North where you got Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow, okay? Forget that for a second. I mean, that's bad enough. But let me throw this by y'all because I threw these numbers out the other day to Molly and a couple of other folks on the show. Let me read this to you, Dio. Let me read this to you, RC. Entering this season, rankings amongst 45 quarterbacks with 300-plus pass attempts over the last 2 seasons, okay? Remember, there's 32 teams in the NFL. All right? Okay, so when you say 45, you're talking about 13 backups. That's what you're talking about here, okay? This brother, Deshaun Watson, ranks 41st in completion percentage, 36th in yards per attempt, 37th in passer rating. He ain't showing up. They looked better last year with Joe Flacco, who was on the couch for the first half of the season. All right, we don't know if he was home eating potato chips and cheese doodles and all this other stuff relaxing his family. He came out on the football field looking better than Deshaun Watson. You cannot get $230 million guaranteed following 3 Pro Bowl appearances in Houston. We know about the off-field stuff that we don't even need to get into and how that derailed his career, which is why people were surprised that he got $230 million guaranteed. We ain't bringing that up. What we're saying is you ain't played really well since you left Houston. And if you show up this year and you stink up the joint with the pieces that the Cleveland Browns have around him on offense and defense, if he doesn't do it this year, there's going to be a different narrative being talked about with Deshaun Watson. Dak Prescott going to get his money. He's going to have a career. We're going to be wondering about Deshaun Watson's career moving forward. He don't show up this year.
Most guaranteed money ever. Let's not forget that.
It's obvious it's Deshaun Watson. And the reason is this. If they don't make it to the playoffs, only one thing about the team is different. The quarterback. The head coach is still there. The defensive coordinator is still there. You have a great run game because of the way Kevin Stefanski calls plays. Defensively, you know what Jim Schwartz is going to get you. You have the defensive player of the year. On the back end, you have 3 number 1s that play corner. You have playmaking safeties. You have a guy in JOK that just makes plays consistently behind the line of scrimmage. He can blitz. He can cover. There's so much that they can do as a team that we watched them do with the quarterback who just wasn't scared to throw it. That we watched him do with the quarterback that was fresh off of the pine at his house, that was actually trying out and rehearsing with us for inside the NFL at the beginning of the season. He wasn't even in camp. And Joe Flacco comes off the couch and becomes a quarterback that takes this team to the playoffs and actually had us believing that they might have a chance to win. And so if you have Deshaun Watson, and that's right, forget the money. Deshaun Watson and what we saw him at his best, whether it be at Clemson or in Houston, the Deshaun Watson that walking off of the field in 2020, J.J. Watt, one of the greatest players that has ever played, say, I am sorry. We have wasted you. You are that good. If Deshaun Watson is half of what we saw him be at one point, this team's a playoff team.
You know
and
what?
if he can't be that, he shouldn't be in the league. And that's where we are right now with Deshaun Watson. Way more pressure. Go ahead, Steve.
Elle, I'll come to you with this.
Please.
The one other thing is the pride. Like, I hope Deshaun Watson's watching at this moment because all of us believe in him as a talent. We know what he's capable of doing. We've seen it. All right. When we saw C.J. Stroud did what he did last year, we were like, that's how Deshaun Watson looked years ago, especially 2020 when he led the league in passing. At some point in time, damn, Deshaun Watson, you got your bag. They talk about Aaron Rodgers. They talk about Tua Tagovailoa. Talk about Josh Allen. They talk about two dudes within your own division, and Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. They talk about C.J. Stroud. Of course, they talk about Patrick Mahomes. I mean, damn. That's 6, 7 quarterbacks within your conference. Yo, where's your pride? Yo, show up. He was 5-1 last year as a starter, by the way. But you got to show up and remind these people who the hell you are, because he's going to need to.
But that's my point. I feel like you guys are making my point. That guy that we're holding on to was a guy we saw in 2020. At some point, what's the saying, Stephen A., right? When they show you who they are, believe them.
So you're saying he's done?
I'm saying that. Let me ask you this question, Stephen A.
Sure, please.
Who's under more pressure to win and produce in the postseason? Is it the Browns or the Cowboys? Which team?
Well, yes. Well, I'm going to go with the Cowboys because that's just me. That's just me right there.
Who is the most important team to the NFL?
Cowboys.
Or the Cowboys.
Who is the quarterback of the Cowboys?
I don't give a damn.
Of course, Dak Prescott has more on the line. There's higher expectations. And yes, I agree with you. He's going to get paid no matter what. He's got all the leverage because someone's going to pay him. Someone's paid Kirk Cousins $250 million, okay? And at least exactly. All right, so he's going to get paid. It's not just about that. It's the pressure that comes. It's the idea that this is a prove-it season for the Cowboys, for their head coach, for Dak, for everyone.
Here would be my
Go ahead, what about the last 4 years? I mean, I understand if they were knocking on the door like San Francisco for NFC Championship games in the last 5 years and 2 Super Bowl appearances with no ring. I get that. But you're acting like Dallas has been knocking on the door and then all of a sudden, you know what, they're this close, but they ain't getting it done. No, they've been getting their behinds bounced out right when the playoffs start. We know they falling once Christmas arrives. We know right after Christmas, right after the ball drops in Times Square in New York City, Dallas going home. We know we're used to this by now.
And
so
what did you say yesterday on your show, Stephen A?
They got to do it.
What did you say yesterday on your show? That the Cowboys fans are super high on everybody except for who? I don't think that there's Browns fans walking around going, we're super high on Deshaun, but let's see. I think that they're like, let's see what he can do because this team is good enough, as evident by last year, to get to the postseason if he just plays average.
The thing is this, though. The pressure that's on Dak Prescott is the pressure that every quarterback that plays that position in Dallas has.
Exactly.
The pressure that's on Deshaun Watson is a pressure that his career can be over.
Correct.
Deshaun Watson, for whatever it's worth, is not going to get to be average. Deshaun Watson is not going to drift off into the life of a backup quarterback because he's going to be felt that he makes a locker room better, that they're going to feel that Deshaun Watson being on our team just elevates who we are. That's not going to happen for him. Either you're going to play at elite level, you're going to be good enough to get a team that's already good around you to the playoffs, to contend, or you're going to be at your house. Dak Prescott has the pressure of wearing that star. He doesn't have that pressure of playing for his livelihood. And I think that's the difference because what happened with Dak Prescott is when he goes out, you know the dude that played behind Dak Prescott couldn't elevate the Dallas Cowboys to where Dak Prescott is. The Cleveland Browns watched somebody else do it. The Cleveland Browns had somebody in their locker room that made the people in that locker room a playoff team.
So then what
if
you're
he
saying,
can't do it, he's done.
So then what you're saying is Dak is more integral to the Cowboys winning than Deshaun is to the Browns winning?
No, what I'm saying is...
Which means that Dak is facing more and has more on the line.
And I'm saying to you, all it means, Elle, in terms of what you're alluding to is that when Dak loses, Dak's going to face more criticism. We're going to be criticizing him because he's playing for the franchise and stuff like that. But in the end, he's still going to get paid. He's still going to have a contract extension. He's still going to be the face of the Dallas Cowboys. And you're going to have people in Dallas just lamenting what they've always lamented, going home a bit too early. In the case of Deshaun Watson, his future is on the line.
Yes.
We haven't seen this brother since he departed from Houston look like he was when he was a Texan. And I'm telling you, Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, Stefanski. Okay, you got the Comeback Player of the Year that's gone now, and Flacco, okay, because Deshaun Watson is back, supposedly ready to do his thing. You got Njoku at the tight end spot. You got Amari Cooper, #1 receiver, okay? You're looking at Elijah Moore being there as well. Nick Chubb was, at some point is scheduled to be back. You got weapons, or Jerry Jeudy from Denver. You look at all of this stuff. There is no excuse. And Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow are in the conference, and nobody is talking about Deshaun Watson. That has to matter to you. If not, they're going to run him out of Cleveland. Yep. They're going to run him out of there. This is supposed to be considered an elite defense, okay, with the reigning Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
You've got weapons at every turn. At some point in time, it's about the brothers in the locker room looking at you and going like, what's up? What you going to do? You supposed to be that dude. We got the pieces around you. We clearly have the coaching around you, all right? You look at the GM, look at the personnel he's accumulated. You have what you need if your quarterback shows up. Period.
The thing is this, like, you can't let somebody sit in your seat. Right? Like, at some point, if you used to date a girl that did a certain thing and your life was elevating and your new girl ain't elevating your life, then you're going to look to replace her. If Deshaun Watson now walks in and he's sitting next to me in the locker room and we're 1-5, or we have a losing record and the defense is playing well and we have a run game and the play action pass isn't working and he's not accurate, you're going to look to the right and left and say, man, last year when Joe Flacco was here, we didn't have this issue. We were able to push the football down the field. Amari Cooper was having games where he was getting close to 200 yards. We were putting the ball in the end zone. We didn't even have Nick Chubb, but we were able to have a run game because people feared what we could do in the pass game. Until the last game, when we saw Deshaun Watson get hurt against the Baltimore Ravens, he had not put an imprint or a stamp on this team. That was the first time I watched him, and I said, that was the dude I saw spin around in the national championship game against Alabama. That was the dude I saw scooping footballs off of the floor in Houston and making plays. We finally got him, and then you find out he's hurt and he's gone, and the team continues to elevate without you. If Dak Prescott doesn't play for the Dallas Cowboys, they are not elevating without him. The same thing for the Jets, the same thing for the Baltimore Ravens, the same thing for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Cleveland Browns got to watch that happen. Their fans did, their organization did, their GM did. If they don't ball this year, if they don't make it to the playoffs, it is the worst trade of all time. Worst contract included.
But I feel like we already wrote the book on that. And the market showed
you're
that.
counting him dumb.
The market, yes, I'm counting him. I'm saying he's been irrelevant. Apart from the fact that he has the richest contract we've ever seen, he's played 12 games since 2020. He's already been irrelevant, and the market already showed that that was the worst contract, which Lamar Jackson had to learn the hard way because literally nobody else repeated it. It was anomalous, and we saw that at the time.